All right, time to get some more C# resources out there for Godot developers. Hello, you fantastic folks, and welcome. My name is Noah, and this is the first in a series of videos designed to teach you the very basics of using C# in the Godot engine. Now, this series is going to assume you're a complete novice. So whether you're a brand new game developer just getting started on their journey, or you're a seasoned GDScript veteran who's just curious how the other side lives, this series should get you up and running with C# in the Godot engine in no time at all. In this particular video, we're going to talk about what exactly C# is, and why you may want to use it over GDScript in your projects. Additionally, you'll get a high-level understanding of some of the peripheral bits surrounding C#, such as what is this .NET thing you may have heard so much about, and whether or not an IDE is some sort of bomb. Lastly, I'm going to leave you with a challenge that will help you build the skills to eventually wean yourself off of tutorials altogether. So stay tuned for that. So, what exactly is C#? And why might you want to use it over GDScript? Alright, we're going to get a little nerdy with some of the details here, but I swear they'll make understanding the nuances of C# a lot easier. C# is a programming language introduced in the year 2000 created by Microsoft as an answer to Sun Microsystems Java. See, back in the day, programming languages were platform specific, meaning that something developed in one operating system or on one computer couldn't just be ported over to another. It would have to be built from scratch and maintained separately for every platform it was on. Java was the first widely adopted language to buck this trend by use of the Java virtual machine, which acted as a middleman between the program and whatever platform it ran on. Basically, any platform that had a valid Java virtual machine installed could run Java code developed on any other platform. It cannot be overstated how big of a deal this was, and other companies started following Sun Microsystems' lead. Microsoft developed C# in tandem with its .NET initiative. You can think of C# as their version of Java, and .NET as their version of the Java virtual machine. There is a bit more to it than that, but that's the gist. The syntax of C#, syntax meaning how it is written, was also influenced by Java, but more so by C and C++, hence the name, two heavy-hitting languages developed in the 1970s that still power a tremendous amount of the enterprise solutions you use today. In fact, the backbone of Godot, Unity, Unreal, and other game engines are programmed in C++. I swear this information will be helpful in understanding how to set up C# with Godot. But before we get there, let's answer the big question. Why choose C# over GDScript? Now, before I answer this question, I need to point out that programming languages are tools. Nothing more, nothing less. Some tools are really good at doing some things and not that great at doing other things. And that's okay. You don't hate your screwdriver because your hammer is better at dealing with nails. I bring this up because people get really weird about their favorite programming languages. And just like it would be insane to simp over a hammer, it's equally insane to simp over a programming language. Now, GDScript as a tool is absolutely fantastic for what it is made to do, which is to be super fast at iterating and testing, relatively fast for a scripting language, easy to read, and easy to learn. Against those metrics, GDScript is absolutely fantastic. Now, this is a C# channel first and foremost, but there is no GDScript hate here. Therefore, I want you to take the following list not as a strong advocacy for why you must absolutely use C#, but instead a list of reasons to help you make an informed decision about what programming language is best for you. So, why might you want to use C# over GDScript? C# is more performant than GDScript. On average, C# is about 4 times as efficient as GDScript when used in Godot. That's because C# is a compiled language, whereas GDScript is an interpreted language. That means that after you've written your C# code, it has to be built. That's a process in which another program, called a compiler, breaks down your C# code into a lower level language that's easier for your computer to understand. This is an extra step and does take time, often in the neighborhood of several seconds, but the larger your code base, the longer the amount of time it will take. Now, GDScript and other interpreted languages like Python skip this compilation step at a performance hit. Now, that performance hit is usually unnoticeable by most Godot developers and is perfectly fine and acceptable depending on what you're trying to do. However, as your codebase gets larger, you're more likely to run into hiccups. Now, you will hear a common refrain from developers that say, don't worry about optimization until it becomes an issue. And I 100% agree with that statement. The issue is, by the time you realize you're going to need the performance boost that C# provides, you're likely going to have an entire project to overhaul. So any time savings you may have made by using GDScript in the first place will evaporate. And then some. Me? I'd just rather start with C#. Turns out an IDE is not a BOM, and the acronym stands for Integrated Development Environment. That's basically a fancy term for a program you write code in. Now my hat goes off to the Godot developers for continuing to add quality of life features to the built-in script editor. That said, it's still not even close to the most basic IDE. IDEs offer way better code completion suggestions, way better error and syntax highlighting, way better debugging tools, built-in version control, the list just goes on. And using a good IDE is light years beyond using the built-in Godot script editor. Now, I am the kind of guy that likes to have my code in a separate window away from all my UI bits. And a lot of people have said that they prefer everything to be in one window. Totally understandable. It's a subjective opinion. But if you are the latter, I would suggest you stick to GDScript, mainly because using C# in the built-in script editor is a lot like having your teeth drilled while somebody smashes your fingers with a hammer. Even the Godot documentation says that C# isn't really at home in that built-in editor, despite it being possible. Now, a lot of Godot developers and GDScript adherents will say that they really like the way that the built-in script editor in GDScript is more tightly integrated with the engine. This usually means that you can pull UI elements into your scripts and it will autocomplete some code for you. Now, I'm the type of guy who's made enough games at this point where I know that the single biggest point of failure is any setup that you're doing in your UI. Therefore, I see that as kind of a neat little thing, but not really a benefit. C# was built from the ground up as an object-oriented language, meaning it's designed to complement the way you think about the things in your game. You don't have to look that long on Reddit before you'll come across someone who will claim that GDScript is infinitely superior to C# due to some nonsense about how GDScript was made specifically for video games and therefore must be superior to C#. That is complete ridiculousness. Unreal, the most widely used AAA engine on the planet, uses C++, which is a bigger, clunkier, and older language than C#, and it's doing just fine. When you're building your game, you're thinking of it in terms of your player character, enemies, bosses, pickups, namely objects. And as a pure object-oriented language, C# is better equipped to handle that paradigm with the tools that it offers than GDScript. Now, for the complete novices who may be watching, I will talk more about what object-oriented programming is as this series progresses. For now, know that it is a style of programming that mimics how objects exist and interact. Exactly what you want from a video game programming language. Now, GDScript does allow you to add class names onto your scripts, and if you are a GDScript programmer, you should absolutely be putting class names on every single script that you write. That is an object-oriented principle. However, it is a drop in the bucket to everything that C# offers. The fact of the matter is, scripting languages just aren't as robust as object-oriented languages. But they were never meant to be. Simply put, you can do a lot more in C# in a lot more ways than you can GDScript. This is not a rip on GDScript, quite the opposite. GDScript is meant to be simple and easy to use for all levels of programmers, and it does that wonderfully. Remember, it's a tool in a toolbox, and as a tool, GDScript does its job to perfection. That said, it is a pond to C#'s ocean. C# offers link, delegates, advanced inheritance options, asynchronous methods, static classes, and the list goes on. As you program more and more, part of the fun comes from trying to figure out the coolest and most efficient way to do things. And the fact of the matter is, C# gives you a lot more options there. C# is a language used around the world in companies big and small. While using it in Godot is slightly different than using it outside of Godot, you're still developing a marketable skill. That's not to say there's zero benefit to learning GDScript. Especially if you're a new programmer, GDScript will absolutely teach you about syntax, logical patterns, and broaden your understanding of programming in general. Unfortunately, nobody reading a resume is going to care about your horizons being broadened. And GDScript is different enough from its closest cousin, Python, that you can't really claim that you know that language either. Simply put, GDScript is a non-transferable skill. C#'s ecosystem and the community around it absolutely dwarfs that of GDScript. There are countless libraries, frameworks, and tools, basically code written by other people, that you can utilize in your C# projects, even those in Godot, for absolutely free. Additionally, if you have any questions about the language, there is 20 years worth of knowledge just a DuckDuckGo search away. It's true that there currently aren't as many C# in Godot resources as there are GDScript in Godot resources, but I'm not the only former Unity developer who's going to start filling in that gap. So that's going to become less and less of an issue as time goes on. C# is a strongly typed language, offering far better code security than you'd ordinarily find in GDScript. In programming, there are these things called data types, which we'll talk about more in future videos. For now, know that data types help your program determine how much memory needs to be set aside at any given point. In C#, every time you work with data, you explicitly define the data type. That makes your code much easier to read, easier to maintain, and infinitely more secure, as you can't assign a type of data to a container that's meant for a different type of data. Now, you may have noticed that I put an asterisk at the end of this one, and that's because this is less of a benefit than it used to be. As of Godot 3.2, GDScript has what's called optional typing, which is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. You can explicitly define the data type of something, but you don't have to. If you do, you're going to get a huge performance boost. Now, like I said, it's less of a benefit than it used to be, but I still think the edge goes to C# here, because with C#, you don't have a choice. You have to define your data. Once GDScript gets to the point where you have to define your data, then we can scratch this one off. But for now, C# wins. So you may be wondering, are there any downsides to using C# with Godot? Well, at the time of recording this video, Godot 4.2 is the new hotness, and Godot 4.3 is just around the corner. I would be remiss if I didn't point out a massive disadvantage C# currently has in Godot when compared to GDScript. At this moment in time, C# projects can only be exported to desktop platforms. Now, that's not the way it used to be, and that's not the way it's going to be in the future. But the gist is that Godot is currently switching over to a newer, better implementation of C#, and some of those features are missing until they have everything carried over. This will take a little bit of time. If you're planning on building a game and publishing it to Steam, you should be A-okay. But if you want to publish to the web or to a mobile platform, check the status of those exports on the Godot website before committing to C#. Again, that functionality is coming back, but is not there at the time of the recording of this video, so be careful. All right, so I've explained what C# is. I've given you a high-level overview of what .NET is. You now know that an IDE is neither a bomb nor a form of birth control, and I gave you some reasons as to why somebody might choose C# over GDScript. So, if you drank the Kool-Aid, and remember, don't drink the Kool-Aid for programming language, but rather, you're still interested in continuing your C# journey, you're gonna have to get everything set up. Therefore, I leave you this challenge. Make sure you've downloaded the latest .NET version of Godot, which is different from the standard version, and head on over to this page, the C# Basics page in the Godot documentation. The link will be in the description. You're going to want to bookmark this documentation as it's going to be one of your best friends moving forward. In general, the Godot documentation is very comprehensive and has helped me out of a jam more than once. What I would like you to do is simply read this page. Take it in. Do your best to understand it, but don't worry if some of the stuff is beyond your comprehension at this point. After all, you're still learning. There is one section I want you to focus on before the next video, however, which is here, configuring an external editor. This section gives instructions on how to set up various IDEs with the Godot engine. For most of you, you're going to want to install and use Visual Studio Code, as it's free, powerful, and has versions for Windows, Mac, and Linux. It would be to your benefit to try and get this set up yourself without any help from a video tutorial and without asking for help on forums, although searching old forum posts is okay. You may have heard of some developers getting stuck in tutorial hell. That's a state where the developer doesn't actually know how to do anything. That's because all the tutorials that they've watched and read have shown them how to do very specific things in very specific ways, and therefore, removed from the tutorials, the developer is essentially useless. The best way out of that hell, and frankly the best way to avoid it entirely, is to muscle through your problems, to tinker, really try to figure out how things work before moving on to the next step. Be open to making mistakes. You're not going to break anything. Be comfortable being lost. Be comfortable being confused, maybe a little scared, hungry, and gassy. It's perfectly normal. Some of you are going to take the challenge that I outlined for you, and you're going to accomplish it. And that's going to boost your confidence going into the next stage in the process. And some of you won't. And you know what? That is totally okay as well. But give yourself some time. Take a couple of hours to really try and figure out how to set up an IDE. Go into an IDE setup hole like you would a hole in Wikipedia. Now, after you've spent a few hours banging your head against the wall, if you still can't figure it out, then you can move on to the next video in the series where I will walk you through setting up a VS Code with Godot. I won't leave you hanging, and the last thing I want you to do is abandon your C# journey for a reason that has nothing to do with the language itself. So, if you don't want to miss that video and you like what you've seen so far, please like and subscribe. But until next time, I wish you the best to you and yours, and I wish you so much joy on this upcoming journey. Take care.